Hey, family. What's up, YouTube? Another day to get better. One of the unfortunate parts of the process when a person is trying to quit drinking or quit using drugs or quit a particular self-defeating behavior or habits is relapse. So the topic of today's video is what is relapse? Relapse is the process of becoming so dysfunctional in recovery that alcohol or drug use seems like a good idea. Relapse warning signs develop long before a person begins to use alcohol or drugs. So, relapse is the process of becoming so, it says, dysfunctional in recovery that alcohol or drug use seems like a good idea. So, you can relapse is the process of becoming so dissatisfied in recovery or in developing new habits that um, alcohol or drug use seems like a good idea, that old habit seems like a good idea, that old self-defeating behavior seems like a good idea. It could be gambling, it could be eating too much of the wrong food, it could be just any type of habit or self-defeating behavior that you're trying to break. This material, as you know, came from a drug and alcohol treatment program. So, and it was a military base, so they were pretty much at in your face, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, your life is dysfunctional. I mean, they were hardcore about it. There's no denying, there's no rationalizing, no minimizing of anything in that program. So this might seem kind of harsh, this article, but I'm going to read it and I'm going to expose you to the information that I was exposed to in hopes that it helps you the same way it helped me. Relapse warning signs develop long before a person begins to use or alcohol or drugs. These warning signs are problems that lead to chemical use. They get out of control. One problem leads to another until the person feels overwhelmed, confused, frustrated, and feels unbearable pain. Using alcohol or drugs is the last step in the process. It is rare to find someone who is suddenly taken drunk. When people honestly examine the situations that led up to a relapse, they almost always see a sequence of warning signs. A person is usually unaware of what these warning signs are when they are happening. So in a later video, I am going to point out the Gellenic curve. It's a addiction and recovery process. So it's a process of how a person goes from their first use or casual use and spirals downward into addiction, and then the upside of the curve is how a person progresses out of addiction and into rehabilitation and recovery. So that'll be in a later video, but that'll show you the process that has been viewed and observed to be a pattern in many people. So it can kind of show you the warning signs. So a person is usually unaware of what these warning signs are when they are happening. Why? No one has ever told them that warning signs exist. And even if they knew about them, they have never learned how to manage them. As a result, they attack when least expected. Many people who relapse have no idea of what went wrong. They simply know that sobriety became so painful or dissatisfying or boring or whatever you want to say about it, that they couldn't stand it, and that alcohol or drug use seemed like a reasonable way to manage the pain. The relapse process is often called building up to drink. There is a buildup of pain and problems that precede the relapse. A person becomes so dysfunctional or dissatisfied that they believe the only choice they have may be to kill themselves, collapse physically or emotionally, or to self medicate with the use of alcohol or drugs. This shit's harsh right here, man. Relapse prevention, but I guess it's facts. It's this stuff is made by the professionals, and this information was produced to make a person completely aware of the complete worst side of things. Relapse prevention offers a fourth option. A person can learn to recognize and manage the warning signs that are making them miserable in sobriety. Recovering people have two types of relapse: a wet relapse, in which they return to alcohol or drug use, or a dry relapse, in which they become dysfunctional without actually using the chemical. A wet relapse results in an immediate return to the exact point in the addiction cycle where a person was when they began detoxification. If not immediately, he or she will soon begin to experience the same biopsychosocial consequences experienced in their prior chemical using phase. There is no starting over. That is why the disease is called progressive. Dry relapses have been called dry drunks or white knuckle sobriety. They are dangerous for several reasons. First, they lower the quality of sobriety and create unnecessary pain and problems in the lives of both the recovering addict and in the lives of his or her loved ones. Secondly, a dry relapse often causes a person to return to alcohol or drug use. Finally, it will make him or her so miserable in society, or in sobriety, that many people collapse physically or emotionally or attempt suicide. Dry relapses almost always precede wet relapses. In any event, relapses, either wet or dry, usually occur because people either fail to identify the warning signs that put them at risk of alcohol or drug use, or they know what the warning signs are but don't do anything to cope with them while sober. So basically, being able to know what warning signs are, recognize them, and have some coping skills, some coping mechanisms in order to deal with those warning signs is a good step. But knowing what your warning signs are is not enough. You must also learn ways to manage your warning signs and apply the skills when necessary. Relapse prevention is a program of action, and you must be willing to do the legwork. So, a checklist of symptoms leading to relapse. When an individual must maintain the disciplines that ensure sobriety, there are ways in which others can help. Nearly every person close to the addict is able to recognize behavior changes that indicate a return to old ways of thinking. These individuals and fellow support group members have often tried to warn the addict, but he or she may not be willing to be told. It may be considered as nagging or a violation of their privacy. There are many danger signs. However, most addicts would be willing to go over an inventory of symptoms with a significant other or sponsor if approached properly. If the symptoms are recognized and intervened early enough, some symptoms might actually prevent a relapse. This added discipline is one that many addicts seem willing to try. Following is a list of common symptoms leading to a dry drunk, to stinking thinking, or to a possible relapse. So the first symptom is exhaustion. Allowing yourself to become overly tired or in poor health. Some addicts are less prone to work through addictions because they are in a hurry to make up for lost time. Good health and enough rest are essential. If you feel good, you are more able to think well. Feel poorly and your thinking is apt to deteriorate. If you feel bad enough, you may begin to think that getting high or drunk could not make you feel any worse. Dishonesty is the next um, symptom. So these are warning signs also. I could take these as warning signs. All right. They have yeah. So dishonesty. This begins with a pattern of unnecessary little lies and deceits with coworkers, family members, and friends. Next come the important lies to yourself. This is rationalizing, making excuses for not doing what you should be doing or for doing things you know you shouldn't be doing. Impatience. Things are not happening fast enough for you. Also, people are not doing things the way you want them to or fast enough. Argumentative is a warning sign or a symptom. Arguing small and ridiculous points of view indicates a need to always be right. Why don't you be reasonable and agree with me? Depression. Unreasonable and unacceptable despair may occur in cycles and should be dealt with or talked about. Frustration. Frustration at people and because things may not be going your way. Remember, not everything is going to go the way you want it. Be patient. Self-pity. Why do these things happen to me? Or why must I be addicted? Or nobody appreciates what I am doing? Are all statements that show a person is feeling sorry for themselves. Okay, so if you catch yourself saying these statements, it's a warning sign that you're maybe on the wrong thinking path here. Cockiness. This is a big one. I've got it made. When people no longer fear being addicted and go into situations to prove to themselves or others they have no problem. Now, I underline when people no longer fear. So this could be anything. If you came up from being completely poor and broke and in completely dysfunctional situations and you came up to where you're able to support yourself and manage day-to-day life, when you no longer fear that old way of living, you're thinking, I always keep that old life that I used to live, the old mediocrity, the old just unsatisfied life. I keep that in the back of my mind and I try to remind myself of that. But every now and then it gets away from me and I start to make small little decisions that could ultimately lead me back to being broke and all that good stuff. So when people no longer fear being addicted and go into situations or have behaviors or actions that, yeah. So complacency, this is another one. Using was the farthest thing from my mind. You hear that a lot. Not using was no longer a conscious thought either. It is dangerous to let up on disciplines because everything is going well. I underline that too. It is dangerous to let up on disciplines because everything is going well. To have a little fear is a good thing. More relapses occur when things are going well. Expecting too much from others. Either expecting others to quit or change because you do. It's a plus if they do. If they don't, you need to leave it alone. You cannot expect others to change their lifestyle just because you do. It is not your job to fix them, and you may end up relapsing by being around them. Next one is letting up on disciplines. So prayer, meditation, daily inventory, support group attendance, and aftercare are all a must. Giving up on them may stem from either complacency or boredom, but you cannot afford to be bored with your recovery, with your self improvement, with your personal growth. The cost is always too great. Use of mood altering chemicals. So you may feel the need to ease the strain or pain with a pill, and your doctor may go along with you. Like going to the dentist and getting teeth pulled, and then they give you some pain medication. It's easy to forget, but you may never have had problems with certain chemicals, but you can easily lose sobriety using any chemical. Remember, you will be cheating yourself and putting your whole life in jeopardy. Waiting or wanting too much. Do not set goals you cannot reach with normal effort. It is always great when good things you were not expecting happen, but do not expect too much. You will get what you are entitled to as long as you do your best, but it may not be as soon as you think it should. Happiness is not having what you want, but wanting what you have. Forgetting gratitude. You may be looking negatively on your life and concentrating on problems that are still not totally corrected. No one wants to be a Pollyanny, but it is good to remember where you started from and how much better life is now. It can't happen to me. This is dangerous thinking. Almost anything can happen to you and is more likely to if you get careless. Remember that you have a progressive disease and you will be in worse shape if you relapse. Omnipotence, whatever that. Omnipotence. This is the feeling that results from a combination of many of the above symptoms, warning signs. You have all the answers for yourself and others. No one can tell you anything, and you ignore suggestions or advice from others. Relapse is probably imminent unless drastic changes take place. All right, so that kind of scrubbed over what relapse is and a checklist of symptoms that lead to relapse. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That was 16 of them. But yeah, hopefully that really helps somebody, shows you some warning signs, gives you some sort of an indication of what type of thinking you might be having. But yeah, last part of every video, I'm going to read the nightly journal entry out of my boot camp journal. And we are on November 12th of 2011. What was positive and what was negative about today? The positive for me today was some wisdom and insight provided by a sergeant today during the SMART recovery meeting. The negative was that rather than going outside for fun PT today, I had to sit in the gym for 4 hours. What were the main feelings I experienced today? I was feeling a little impatient because I want to be back in the community. Also lonely because I don't want to be around any of these inmates anymore. I want to be there for my family, with my family. What helped me make it through the day? I made it through the day by thinking of the advantages and blessings I am receiving by participating in CIP, the Challenge Incarceration Program. What did I learn today? The maximum voltage for a NEMA, National Electric Manufacturers Association, Class A industrial relay is 600 volts. Yeah, I was doing a small vocational course on electricity and electronics and stuff like that. So yeah, the maximum voltage for a NEMA Class A relay is 600 volts. Nothing to do with treatment or nothing, but it's just something I learned that day through vocational. But hey, keep pushing forward. Never give up. Just because we've done something our whole life doesn't mean we have to continue to do it. Hopefully, some of these warning signs here shed some light on some things and equipped you with some tools to help you. God bless you. I'll see you in the next video.